This is the Scott 1800 plastic index tab machine. Its purpose is to apply plastic to the tab area of your sheet. I will begin by showing you how to thread the plastic onto the machine, how to set up and operate the machine, and point out the control panel of the machine itself. The controls on the Scott 1800 are simple. You have an on and off switch power, indicator light indicating when the machine is on, your manual feed and cut switch, and your auto and foot switch selector, your 4-digit counter for production, and 2 heat controllers underneath the machine to control the temperature of the plastic being sealed. Threading the tape on the 1800 is as simple as placing the reel on the reel holder, folding the tape in half with the glossy side of the tape on the outside, the dull side, the adhesive side of the tape on the inside, cutting the tape at an angle toward the fold, then open the tape, run it around the roller, fold it back in half, place it in between the 2 folding fingers, then pull the tape, push the handle down and pull the tape forward, placing it in between the 2 rollers and starting it into the tunnel. Lastly, bring the tape around the tension arm. When that is complete, use the feed switch on the front panel, push the feed switch, hold it until the roller stops turning, repeat until the tape appears on the front side of the machine. At that point, hit the cut switch and remove the excess tape. To create index tabs with your Scott 1800, you will receive from your printer printed words or letters or symbols at the top of the sheet in equal spacing depending on how many tabs that you need to produce for whatever job that you are doing. You will need to know the distance or the size of the paper in order to produce the right length of plastic for each one of the tabs. To do that, you should either have a sample of the job to be run or a layout sheet you will need to create in order to do that. I've created a tab layout sheet here by dividing my paper into equal segments for each one of my tabs, using a 1/2-inch margin on either side that there will be no printing in. This distance between the lines will give me my final tab size that will be cut on the heavy-duty tab cutter. By adding 3/8 of an inch to each side, I'll get my plastic size, which will be produced on the 1800. Measuring that distance, I see that it's approximately 2.5 inches in length. At that point, I can set my plastic size to 2.5 inches by loosening up the clamp, moving the lever into the 2.5-inch mark, and tightening the clamp down. I will then feed the plastic up using the manual feed switch, push the switch and hold it until the rollers stop turning, release the switch, push the cut, that brings the punch down to cut the plastic, bring your plastic out, and then compare that with your layout, and if the size is not correct, if the plastic length is too short, loosen your clamp, move the lever out. If it's too long, move it in, and then clamp it back. Repeat with the feed switch, then the cut, then measure against your layout again, and when you're satisfied, your plastic length is then set. Now that we have established the plastic length for our tabs, we need to move the platen assembly located inside the machine so that it will properly seal the plastic to the paper. The length of our plastic was 2.5. We want to make the platen position also at 2.5. Loosen the clamp, move the handle, and then tighten the clamp so the press does not move. At this point, we will feed the plastic up and position our plastic stop to where the plastic will be. Feed the plastic and hold it till it stops. Plastic is now located underneath the casting. We'll bring the plastic stop to that point, touch it, move it back, clamp the plastic stop into position, and then cut the plastic. Now that we've established our plastic length, we have to set our paper to the correct position to apply the plastic to the paper. The notch on the front guide indicates where the plastic will start on the left-hand side. You have a paper side guide located on your left. Position the paper so that the notch is approximately 3/8 of an inch from the left side of the tab. Loosen your guide. Move your guide up to the edge of the paper and tighten your guide down. You are now ready to produce your first tab. Now take the first sheet of paper, slide it all the way into the machine. Listen to the machine. You'll hear the plattens close and then open. When you hear the platen open, then you can pull the paper out of the machine and you compare the plastic with your layout. As you can see, we're a little bit off on our tab. I need to move my paper this way in order to make my plastic equal on both sides. Loosen up the paper side guide, move it slightly in, tighten it back down. Take another sheet, slide the paper into the machine, wait for the platen to open back up, bring it back out, and then compare to your layout. Once you've established that the plastic is in the position that you want, you're now ready to run the rest of the tabs. To correctly feed the paper into the machine, you need to push the paper all the way to the paper stop bar solid, wait until the platen's open, and then remove the paper. If you go too slow in removing the paper, the punch will come down and it will cut the paper. If this does happen, you do need to reach up to the manual cut switch, throw the switch, and release it to make sure that the plastic did get cut. Beginning production of the tabs, we will reset our counter to 0 by rotating the knob on the right-hand side, and then just feed paper into the machine continuously, making sure that the paper stays up against the side guide to keep your plastic consistently registered from one sheet to the next. Consistency of the plastic for registration is dependent on the operator making sure that the operator keeps the edge of the sheet against the paper side guide, pushes the sheet smoothly into the machine, and pulls it out. After you've completed one tab position, you can easily move to the next tab position by moving your paper side guide. Loosen your guide, using your layout, move to the next position, aligning the front notch for the left-hand position of the next tab, tightening it down, trying another sheet. Compare that with your layout and adjust accordingly. Then you're ready to run. Normal operation of the machine, the cycle switch is in the auto position. To use the foot switch, move the cycle switch to the foot position, put the paper into the platen area, depress and hold the foot switch. When the platen opens, remove the paper from the platen, release the foot switch. The speed of your Scott 1800 is easily adjustable by two timers located inside the machine underneath the top cover. Before removing the top cover, make sure you do turn the power off on your machine. The two timers, the one on the left is the speed of the press and the plastic feed. We ship this at 0.8 of a second. To change the speed, you press either the minus button or the plus button to increase or decrease the time of the machine. Basic time of the machine should be between 0.8 of a second and 0.5 of a second. The timer on the right controls the punch. It is shipped at 0.1 of a second. To allow more time to get the paper out of the machine, you can increase it to 0.2 of a second. The platens are maintained by two temperature controllers located underneath the machine. The upper temperature controller controls the upper platen. The lower temperature controller controls the lower platen. Both temperature controllers are normally set from 200 to 230 degrees Fahrenheit. The Scott 1800 plastic laminator is an air-operated machine. Located on the back of the machine is the air regulator and lubricator assembly. Normal operating pressure is at 80 psi. The lubricator assembly is set to give 1 drop of oil approximately every 15 to 20 cycles of the machine. In the lubricator unit, always be sure to use Mobil DTE 24 oil or equivalent. The oil fill is located here. The adjusting screw for the amount of oil flowing into the machine is located inside the top of this bubble. Also make sure that the air filter unit does not contain any water or condensation from your air compressor. To drain condensation from the air filter unit, there is a petcock located at the bottom of the unit. You open that with the air pressure on and allow the water to drain out. This concludes the operation and maintenance of your Scott 1800 plastic index tab machine. If you have any further questions, contact the service department at Scott Office Systems.